What is up, Force fans? Welcome back to the Star Wars Vault. It is over. The final chapter in the Skywalker saga came to an end, and what an ending it was. This is going to be a review of the movie. First, there won't be any spoilers in the beginning of this video, and before I spoil anything, I will give you plenty of fair warning so that you can avoid them if you haven't seen the movie yet. Before we get into this, I just want to thank you all for watching and remind you to subscribe and hit the bell for more awesome Star Wars content in the future. So let's get started here. This is the spoiler-free version, so let me just say right out of the gate, I did not hate this movie. I didn't love it either, but I was pleasantly surprised at how much I did like about the movie. That being said, I didn't have very many expectations, so take that how you will. There was a few awesome scenes and some really cool fan service. This movie also spit in the face of The Last Jedi, so I'm cool with that as well, because I did not like that movie. That being said, there were definitely some problems with the film as well. First being that, like the initial tweet said, this is just a whole lot of story, and it happened way too quickly. They would breeze over explanations of some pretty major events and would quickly bounce to the next scene at sometimes seemed like a frantic pace. I do feel like that there was a lot more care put into a major chunk of this movie, and we got to see some pretty sweet stuff. Finally, though, I do feel like they dropped the ball with the ending, and the movie was so close to being great but fell short right in the home stretch. So that's about all I can say without spoiling anything. We're going to start the spoiler review right now, so if you haven't seen the movie, stop watching now, please. Or keep watching and I'll spoil the crap out of it for you. So let me just start with the beginning, because this theme carries out. Right in the opening scroll, we had kind of a weird thing happen. The opening scroll explained that the Emperor was alive and that the whole galaxy got some sort of strange message from him. And I felt like that was just like a very weird way to breeze over such a major event. Which I did mention in the spoiler-free part, that there was a lot of scenes and explanations that just kind of like, oh, here you go, and that was it. After that, I genuinely enjoyed a lot of the movie. There were some awesome scenes, like I said, one being like the flashback of Luke and Leia training. That was amazing. That was really cool to see when they lifted their visors. And there were plenty of cool scenes and Easter eggs scattered throughout. I love seeing Rey hold that shuttle with the Force and use the Force lightning. When Rey fought her dark side self, that was crazy. Rey and Kylo's fight on the Death Star was solid. Finally, we got to see Kylo kind of being the more powerful one, which he should have been the whole time. It had some crazy reveals, like the fact that Rey was the granddaughter of the Emperor, which we did kind of say that as a theory before, but I did think that was cool. It was still crazy to see. But on the flip side of that, that was another thing where it was just an explanation that they breezed over real quick. So they explain it briefly. Rey's dad was the Emperor's son, and the Emperor had him killed, blah, blah, blah. That was it. And that, it just felt like it was too quick. We just needed more time to process each scene that we didn't get, because it would immediately bounce to the next one. So like I said, that was a huge overarching issue. It really kind of hurt a lot of the movie, the fact that it just went too quickly. Basically, I feel like this movie needed to be 2 hours longer than it was, or part one of a two-part ending, which we did mention before. My brother is a big fan of that idea, and I think he was totally right. This movie did do a great job of repairing and basically obliterating The Last Jedi, from the scenes like where Luke's Force Ghost caught Rey's lightsaber and explains to her that that's not the kind of respect you should have for a Jedi weapon, which is like literally a direct slap in the face to Rian Johnson, and was deservedly so. Basically, this was like the second and third movie put together the way that JJ saw it the first time. And I'm okay with that, as I hated The Last Jedi, so it's cool that that basically means nothing now. It also gave much better story to Finn and Poe, not completely making us love the characters, but it definitely made them much better in this movie. even for all the side characters, even Rose was way better in this movie than she was in The Last Jedi. You know, she wasn't in it a ton, but whatever. What does that tell you? The comedy, which I did mention in a previous video that I was worried about, was not as bad as I thought. There were some goofy jokes, but it didn't pull me out of the movie too bad. Like, they fly now. That scene basically happened, and I barely paid attention to that. Like, we saw in the TV spot, and it just seemed so goofy. In the scope of everything that was going on in the movie, it really wasn't that bad. So that was pleasant for me. But like I said, I didn't love everything about this movie, so we'll get into some of the bigger problems I had. First off, Rey was still overpowered. She was still super overpowered. We did get to see her train a little bit more and be trained by Leia, which was cool, and she called her master. That was awesome. So it makes sense why she'd be a little bit more powerful, especially now that we know that she's the granddaughter of Palpatine. But still, she did some stuff that some crazy Jedi who are way, way more powerful than her, should have been, couldn't do. But we kind of expected that. So I would also say that probably the biggest problem with the movie, and I'm assuming a lot of people out here are going to agree with me on this, is the ending. The ending of the movie was not good. They literally were so close to making this movie good, and like a solid movie, and it was like literally they got to the last part and they blew it. The ending started off pretty cool. We got to see the Emperor try and turn Rey and call her the Empress, which was sweet. We got to see Kylo now fighting for the light, and he fought his way there, and Rey and him had that connection, and she transferred the lightsaber to Kylo, allowing him to kill the Knights of Ren and get to her. And that was awesome. And we even got to see them both confront the Emperor and stand side by side, where we thought, like, this is about to go down. And I'm still not even hating this at this point. I'm still liking it. Then the Emperor uses the Force Drain to absorb the power of Kylo and Rey, and it gives him his power back, which was cool. And we see the Emperor use the massive amount of Force lightning to attack the Resistance ships, which was something we've never seen, that much power, that much unlimited power. And it was cool to see that. But this is where it all fell apart for me. They had the opportunity to let Kylo and Rey get up together and have a crazy final lightsaber duel with Palpatine, and it could have been awesome, and they could have defeated him together, and this would have made the movie way, way better. But instead we got what we got, which was Kylo getting tossed aside and Rey using her usual overpowered skills to kill Palpatine on her own. Well, maybe not totally on her own. She had the Force Ghost help, which was also, they just dropped the ball on that. We did get to hear Anakin and apparently Ahsoka's voice and some other crazy people, but they just dropped the ball. They could have showed us some of those Force Ghosts. Anakin should have been behind Rey, like had his hands like on her shoulder or something, using his power to help her defeat him. That would have just made everything better. The whole story is supposed to be about Anakin. The fact that we didn't even see him, even in a flashback, was really, really a disappointment. Yeah, Rey just, the fact that she just kills the Emperor with that Force lightning, it just doesn't make a ton of sense. We were so close. And that's another thing. That entire scene, like the Emperor's in control of the Force lightning. He's Force lightning at Rey. She's using the lightsabers to deflect and push it back towards him. Why would he allow it to kill himself? He could have just stopped using the Force lightning and then he wouldn't have died. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Well, he did the same kind of thing in Revenge of the Sith with Mace Windu, but that's a completely different story, and it's not even close to the same thing, because the Emperor was purposely allowing himself to be hurt by Mace Windu so that he would turn Anakin. Anakin would see Mace is doing the damage and he would turn against Mace Windu. That was the whole point of that. So it's really stupid that they did it this way. The Emperor shouldn't have gone out like that, and it shouldn't have been Rey. It should have been Kylo, or at least them doing it together. It really should have been Anakin, but I would have been happy if Kylo and Rey got up and like did this together. They were so close. Like, it was literally like they were both there. They got them all the way there, and then they just blew it. And then the fact that Rey died, that would have made the movie better. She should have stayed dead. Kylo should have got up, been sad, and then left. But instead, Kylo sacrifices himself and dies. And then there's no more Skywalkers except for Rey, who now decides to call herself a Skywalker, which I wouldn't have even hated, because no one wants to be called a Palpatine. If the Palpatine's the worst person in the world or in the galaxy, you probably don't want to go around saying, oh, I'm his granddaughter. And I would have been okay with her being a Skywalker, calling herself a Skywalker, if it wasn't for how that ended. So I will honestly say that this movie could have been, with a better ending, one of the ones that I mentioned, could have been a solid 8 out of 10. This could have been a really solid movie. But because we got what we got, I have to give it a 5, maybe 6 out of 10. Now, there is plenty more to say about this movie, plenty more to talk about. I still have to go see it again. Me and my brother are both talking about it. He might like it less than I do. But we're going to go see it again, and maybe our opinions will change, and maybe you'll get a different video in the future. I know we'll be making plenty more videos about everything that went on in this movie. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you agree or disagree, or maybe you hated the movie way more than I did, or maybe you loved it and you think I'm an idiot. Let us know in the comments. If you liked the video, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Maybe hit that little bell so you're notified when we put out the next awesome video. Thank you guys so much for watching. God bless you, and may the Force be with you always.